2025 will be here before we know it, and for generations, sparkling wine has been the way to ring in the new year. It just tastes like it took longer to produce, and that's because it does. George Hogston operates one of the premier sparkling wine facilities in the Old Dominion.
We touch a bottle 11 different times in order to get it prepared to be enjoyed. And so ultimately, when we come to New Year's, when we come to the holidays, people want to have something special.
Hogston's operation produces sparkling wine for other Virginia wineries who don't have the expensive equipment needed to make it. But for those who are in the game, Virginia has some advantages for growing the kind of grapes that produce the best sparkling wines.
One of the things is we have some cooler areas to grow some grapes, and we can use some aspects of our land and our mountains to have cooler afternoons and evenings, and that allows us to maintain acid. And so holding on to acid in our white fruit is one of the things that allows sparkling wine to be good.
The journey to a flute begins with picking white wine grapes early. While a traditional bottle of Chardonnay might be the product of grapes picked in the fall, sparkling wine growers pick their grapes in August. This helps keep the acidity necessary for the bubbles that create the sparkle in sparkling wine. Mathieu Finot grew up on a farm in France. In 2003, he moved to Virginia, where he runs the sparkling wine facility at King Family Vineyards in Albemarle County. While giving a tour of the facility, he showed how sugar and yeast are added during a second fermentation.
The second fermentation is going to happen in the bottle. In fact, we had exactly 24 grams per liters of sugar, and that will create 6 atmosphere of pressure, so 6 bar of pressure inside the bottle. So it's like very, there's a lot of pressure inside, ready to pop.
The bottles are then put in cages and tipped down over 4 days, allowing the sediment to collect in the bottleneck for at least 1 year, and in some cases, many more years. The final step is to disgorge the sediment from the bottle, which happens here in the back of this crowded freezer truck.
The sediment always sedimented here inside the bottle. We're gonna get the bottle here inside of baths of glycol, and it's just gonna freeze just the neck. So now right here I've got a plug of ice, and that's what we're gonna remove. So then the bottle goes on the belt here.
The bottle is then taken down the conveyor belt to this cleansing station. It goes through more cleansing before it's labeled and ready for the cork. In addition to being a working vineyard, the King family also has a large agritourism component where visitors can take in their tasting room or bask in the spectacular outdoor views. It's also home to Roseland Polo and has a large field dedicated to the sport. During the pandemic, agritourism attractions like vineyards thrived in Virginia. While there aren't as many visitors to wineries as a few years ago, wine tourism remains strong in the state. And for many, Virginia wines are a sweet spot between European and West Coast blends.
When you talk about Virginia wines, we both literally and stylistically are midway between the California style of wine and the European style of wine. And so you find that we're like a happy medium in terms of the acidity, the sugar levels of the wines. We are a little more fruit forward than our European counterparts, and we're a little not quite as high in alcohol as our cousins on the West Coast.
Virginia sparkling wines are a great way to celebrate an important occasion. Just don't call it champagne. Only sparkling wines produced in that region of France can be called that. You may not be able to call it champagne, but you can call it very good. In Albemarle County, I'm Burke Muller reporting.